Hi, this is Wilna, and welcome to another episode of Art from the Heart. And in this episode, we are going to make Valentine's cards. So, I absolutely love Valentine's Day, and it's just around the corner. And I thought to myself that now it's a good time to mass produce a bunch of Valentines. I created these cute little printables that you can find on iheartstudio.ca with these little foxes, and you can print and cut them out and use them on your cards. So let's get started. So the first thing that I did was I bought hearts from Michael's and I just cut them a little bit smaller. There you can see the original packaging, and I cut the chipboards a little smaller to fit transparent envelopes that I'll show you right at the end. And then I bought this piece of adhesive canvas, and I'm just going to remove the sticky backing, and then I'm just going to adhere the hearts to it, and then I'm going to cut them out because and if you wonder how does the transparent envelopes look, here you can see a photograph of the finished card inside of the little envelope, and it's transparent, and we're going to add a little sticker at the front also with the little foxes on it. But just wait till you see the second video, then you'll understand exactly what we're going to do. So now I'm just positioning all the hearts on the adhesive background so that I can fit all 10 of them on this piece of 12 by 24 inches of canvas. And it's not hard to do that at all. So I wanted to have canvas to paint on, just as a wonderful starting point for my little cards. You don't need to do this on canvas. You can actually just paint on the hearts itself. Maybe give it a layer of gesso if you want to. But you can have a lot of fun with these little white hearts, and you can paint them any color. So what I'm showing you here today is just one option of what you can do. The other thing that I love doing is making these mass productions of projects, because doing 10 cards at once, it's one sitting, you do the same thing basically on every card, and at the end of the day you have 10 cards that you can just give away to your friends. This is a lovely project to make with children. You know, I actually sat down this weekend and did a whole bunch of 10 of these with an 8-year-old, and she did a fantastic job on making the cards. So it's very easy to make, it's a lot of fun to make, and being creative is also always therapy for the heart. So I'm painting a layer of gesso on each little canvas, and I'm just using a flat brush. So it's very simple, very easy. Quickly, just a little bit of gesso on each canvas. You can see I'm leaving a little bit of a border around the edges, just because it's something that I can't help but do. And then once this is dry, I'm just going to use Liquitex paints and red and a darker red, and I'm just going to have fun in painting the background. So it helps when you wet your brush a little bit, because then the paint just flows a little easier. And while I am having a little bit of the white gesso still on that paper plate, I'm just going to mix it in. So honestly, there's no rhyme or reason to how you should do the backgrounds. I would just suggest that you have a lot of fun with it and blend your paints. You can also keep it monochromatic, so meaning that you can just paint it a solid red and maybe use a stencil and dab some white paint over it, you know, through hearts or polka dots. There's so many options of what you can do. There's no right or wrong in art. Just remember that. So I am painting just red and pink, and I'm going to add a little bit of white on some of them. But you know what? The one thing about mass producing cards like this is it takes the guesswork out of it. You know, you don't have to reinvent the wheel with every single card. It's basically the same idea. You just do it over and over again, but for very interesting reasons. And this is one thing that I love, is that the cards don't look the same. Each of them have their own little personality, and they do look different, even though you do the same thing again and again. So I'm just adding a little bit, alizarin crimson. So say that quickly. It takes a little practice. One of my favorite colors of red. And I'm just going to add a little bit of a darker red to some of the cards. You can see I painted on that one card, I just stripes, horizontal and vertical. In the end, I didn't like that over much, so I did paint over that. But I think the key here is to have enough water on your brush so that the paint can flow. Otherwise, it's going to be very dry and hard to just cover everything with paint. So I'm trying to get my paints to blend. A little harder here because it's a smallish canvas, and so it takes a little practice, but I think if the paint just dried a little bit more, then you can blend it a little better. So I think my problem here, if I have to critique myself, is that I am a little bit too impatient. The other thing about doing these mass production cards is that you work in layers, right? So this card is probably going to have 3 or 4 layers to it, and in the end, I think that's what makes it fascinating and interesting to look at. And if you count the little envelope as another layer, then it's really, really a fun little layered project, to do. So yeah, just keep on painting until you're happy. When I did the project with the 8-year-old, she kept her backgrounds very solid, and then we used the stencil of hearts and polka dots and just dab a sponge paintbrush and just dab the paint through the sponge paintbrush. No, I'm saying that all wrong. So we used the stencil and dabbed the paint with the sponge through the stencil, and that looked beautiful. I was a little jealous. I actually thought her project looked better than mine. So yeah, you can see there that working neatly is not really a priority for me. And I just decided to make it very painterly, make it very artistic. And in the end, when my cards were done and in their little envelopes and everything, it looked very neat, even though it doesn't look like it here. And also, it reminded me of cookies. I love when you go on Instagram or Pinterest and you see how people are so creative with decorating sugar cookies, and how beautiful one can do that. And in the end, I think this little project reminded me of sugar cookies, especially because each of them ended up in their own little transparent envelope, so yeah, I know. It's a interesting idea, just working with this. Okay, so I want to say too many things now. I was also thinking of maybe using a little bit of molding paste through a stencil over my backgrounds, but then I realized, most of it is going to be covered up anyway. So I decided just to do some paint splatters. And so I'm using Liquitex ink, the red, just a dark red, and now I'm just adding a little water, and you can just see I'm tapping the paintbrush over my finger, and I'm just splattering the backgrounds with these Liquitex inks. Okay, so once this is dry, we're going to go ahead and finish it. And this is the little foxes that I made. I painted these and I used my silhouette machine to cut them out. And now we're going to go ahead and just start the layering effect. So we're almost done with this first video, and I bought this roll of tulle with gold hearts on it, gold glitter hearts, at Michael's last year. I don't know if they still have it, but you can use any tulle. I think any fabric store should have something like this. And I'm just measuring a piece on every single heart. So that will be the first layer that we are going to be putting on our hearts. And now I'm just cutting 10 pieces. And then I'm going to be using hot glue to adhere everything together and to keep it all together. But I think the tulle is a lovely subtle layer that you can use. It just makes it soft, it makes it romantic, and the glitter adds that little bit of, you know, glam to it. So it's a lot of fun. I'm placing one piece on every heart, and again, because it's a mass production, I just going to go ahead and do literally all of them at once, and just, you know, yeah, do it all at once. And in the end, it takes you probably 45 minutes to make the hearts from start to finish. And you have 10 cards. That is absolutely gorgeous and beautiful and lovely to give away. So when I when I put the hearts in envelopes, the tulle automatically folded over. So don't be too bothered to trim them too much. I'm just trimming those a little bit smaller because they were quite big. And now I'm just going to add layers. So I did figure out in the beginning how I wanted to do it. And I have a piece of wood, chipboard, that's almost like a little label that I'm going, there you can see them, that I'm going to put on each of them. And I'm just going to break off the little handle there, but you can use paper, you can use stickers, it's totally up to you. And that is just so you can write a sentiment on your little card. So you can add the names of the person, or Happy Valentine, you can write a little love note. It's totally up to you what you want to write, but I'm going to just put one piece on every card. And these are also from Michael's, and I bought them at the discounted, there's a little discounted section in Michael's, and that's where I got that from. So it breaks off quite easily just because it's wood. I like the gold edge of these little labels. And now I'm just going to place a little fox, and you can already see how the cards are coming together. I love these little foxes. And in the next video, I'll show you how we're going to be finishing our Valentine's cards, and also going to show you how it's going to look after you put them into the little envelopes with the little labels on them.